This motherfucker is not real.
I don't know this meme.
We heard this video, this voice, for probably 6 months or so, for a few months. It's called a plain lady. Did you come across this one?
No, never.
So everyone, I think everyone who lives here knows that. There was a video circulating on TikTok and I believe on other social platforms as well. With the lady on a plane who got off her seat went when before the plane took off and decided to jump off the plane, to not go where she was going. And she was very scared. She looked very scared. She was like young lady, maybe like 27, 28, sophisticated, dressed, normally dressed. She didn't look drunk or anything. She had a nice bag on her shoulder. And she turned around and everybody tried to like stop her. Where are you going? And she turned around. She's like, this
Yes,
you, and if you're going on this plane, you're gonna
yes.
die. Remember?
I know. Remember. I remembered it.
Yes, and so it's this story turned basically in urban legend because everybody tried to figure out what did she see, and people started talking about skin shifter. No, it's not shifters, skin shifters.
Skin skin walkers or something like this.
No, skin shifters or just shifters who changes their like who turns into another being. Skin shifters, I think they're called. Aliens, you name it.
Doppelgangers.
Yeah. And the lady, basically, everyone tried to find her, and everybody got obviously scared on that plane because she said, "You're all going to die." And everybody tried to find her. No one could find her because she was on social media. She wasn't on social media. Found different kind of women, but they weren't her. And then they find some kind of interview with her, and she said that somebody was telling that she was drunk, and other people try to oppose it and say that she wasn't. She was clear as a glass, and she obviously saw something. Other people said that she had an argument with the guy. She thought that he stole her earbuds, and but he didn't, and called her different names for that. And then somebody found an interview with her, like I don't know who she gave interview to, and she said, well, it was just a misunderstanding, and I had like a glass of wine. And other people who saw this video, they're like, it's not her, she disappeared, the government,
Took care. Yeah.
so, and the video is still circulating and is obviously already kind of on top, with everything that comes up. It became old news and real urban story, but we still don't know what happened on that plane. And so a lot of that's how urban stories start, right?
Urban legends. I think they're very funny and very interesting because do you remember when we were growing up in Russia, we had those stories в черной комнате, в черном городе, in
Yeah,
black city, the black street, in a black room, and then
and the
anything can happen,
black
like
cat,
coughing,
yes. Mhm.
a black cat, or coughing on little wheels, or something like this happened. So this is some kind of those are funny stories, but we have some legends that turn out to be an urban legend, like, or historical figures that turns out to be an urban legend. Like we have this Paul the First ghost that now turned to be an urban legend. There's a lot of things that happened to Paul the First because of his very sad history, because of how he was, killed during the coup. And he also had a fortune teller who told him that he will die at the age of how many letters are in the saying on the front of his castle that he built for himself. It was 47 letters, so he lived 47 years. And because of how he turned to die, there's a saying that every night at midnight, at around like 12:47 or so, you can see his ghost in the in the windows of the his castle, his palace, and he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to find his murderers, or trying to find a safe place to hide from the group. Also, we have like this urban legend about Peter the First, and his very famous statue on the horse. It says that Peter the First, he wakes up almost every night, and he goes to patrol the city that he
The
built.
statue. You mean the
And
statue?
yeah, yeah. The statue
Okay.
wakes up every night, and on the horse, he goes to
Mm-hmm.
patrol the city. And someone says that if you encounter him, nothing good will come out of this, because he will judge you based on his own, mind, and based on his own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But someone says that if you will encounter him, you can ask whatever you want and you will have it. These kind of urban legends are very interesting to research when you go abroad, or to some places that you want to visit and you're a tourist. But some urban legends give me the creep and eek, and we will talk about them today, because we are who? We are queens with accents, right?
Yes, we are. And we have to remind sometimes that we are, that's our title of the show, that we're Natasha and Julie. And also subscribe, click that notification button, and
Yeah.
because we love it and it's easy.
And I hope that you will like today's topic, because today we're going to talk about creepy stories that happened, and people say that those stories are real and they actually encountered something really creepy and very scary, right?
Yeah. And next urban legend will be she looked like a teacher, and the other one looked at the military person, and they
Okay.
had a podcast.
Okay.
And then we'll let the rest, we'll let people to figure it out. That's enough already information, people. It's
Okay.
enough. I'll go. We'll go to the next one. Oh, by the way, that woman's name was Tiffany Gomez,
Okay.
that lady on the plane.
Mhm.
All right, start with something, Julian. I know, Julie, you have already some stories prepared, some scary and interesting
Yeah,
legend.
well, let's start with the story that I don't know if I believe, I don't know if this was just a joke, I don't know if people just wanted to make fun and that's why they actually, like wrote the story. I'm going to read the story, so the disclaimer here, we did not like invent those stories, we did not write them ourselves. I'm just reading what I found in the internet. So, I grew up in Minneapolis and loved fishing. I spent a lot of time in the woods. As soon as I got a license, I drove to as many of the 14,000 lakes as I could. I saw wolves, bears, cougars, moose, deer, even a wolverine one time. When I was about 22, my friend and I decided it was time to rough it. We had a tent and a brand new old town canoe. We set out for a fun-filled day of fishing. It was then that I found out the old man of the hatchet was a true story. I don't know the story, so I will just read what they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
I had worked at two camps in town, mounts, where he was never captured. I think that the old man of hatchet is some kind of a Maniac story or something like this. Is a criminal. I was going to scare my friend. That's when it starts. Everything starts when I'm gonna scare my friend, right? We
Mm-hmm.
started gathering firewood, and I never thought Bigfoot would be in the
Didn't scare my
Minnesota.
friend.
And I was familiar with the creature from Finding Bigfoot, which was in its first or second season. We were about 10 yards from each other, and I felt the presence of something. It was dusk, and deer are usually on the move based on the game trail and the clearance. We weren't anywhere close to bear country. My friend started to run towards me and ask, "What's bigger than a bear? What's bigger than a bear? I wouldn't even want to meet a bear. What's bigger than a bear, right?"
I would love
All I
to
could
meet a
think,
bear, though.
I wasn't worried. We both had our concealed carry weapons, but he was spooked. Together we trekked to the well. On our way back, we encountered what appeared to be a gigantic black muscular Doberman. It was following
Mhm.
us, keeping at a distance of 200 yards. I figured it was feral, and because of this thing, Toddle's lack of fear, I deducted it may have red eyes. Its size freaked me out, so I turned around to scare it away. I rose up to its feet. It rose up to its feet, and its eyes caught the sun during the golden hour. He asked me, "What is this?" I mean, I think that his friend asked me, not the Doberman, of course. It disappeared into the thick foliage of sumac. We were in the Taylor's Falls area. We immediately searched in the internet. We found the Dog Man, and I believed it. One of my local bass tournament friends, who was a scout leader for 25 years and also in Wisconsin, told me that the area we encountered it is becoming a hotspot for dogmen, the huge Doberman that hunted people in the woods and I don't know, wanted something to eat them, to ravage them. What do you think about the story?
I don't know. Reminds me of the Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
Remember that the Sherlock Holmes? Remember that
oh
story
yes,
where the dog was in
Baskerville. Mhm.
Swarms, yeah, the Baskerville, the dog of the Baskerville. Yeah, that's what reminds me about. Even though we don't know what type of dog it was, it was a big dog.
Like, yeah, but those people said that wrote that it was kind of a Doberman.
Could be
So it was
Doberman. We don't
dark
know.
with, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna sneeze. Here you go. Okay, I
Bless
apologize.
you.
Bless you, me.
We've got a,
It
we've got a,
means it's true. It's not an urban story because in Russia we say if you sneeze at something, it means it's true, right? So it's a true story.
That is true. Yes, yes, yes. True. Yeah.
So it's not an urban story. Um, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
This
I
one
don't
feels
know.
very
I mean,
frightening, and
people.
this one
I don't know. Were they drunk?
seems like
That's it's a valid question. Were they drunk?
perhaps
Did they take drugs?
I don't know.
Did they sleep well?
Yeah, but this story reminds me of the yeah this story reminds me of the stories the fisherman tells that they caught that huge of a fish and this fish tried to like punish them or do something like this. So this one is kind of I would say that it's 4 out of 10 in trustworthy.
That 4 out of 10. Okay. I don't know. That could be also a lost dog. Who knows? Could be a lot of explanations, honestly, realistic ones. From drugs to a real dog. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's a questionable. It's questionable story. I would say that. Gosh, I look so much like a teacher that I don't know. Well, it is what it
it,
is.
it's
It is what
it
it is.
is.
Um, so my students,
Okay.
that kind of urban story, but I want to go back to aliens because without aliens there
Okay.
are no urban stories, and a bunch of them I found yesterday. But the type of aliens that were always talked about, it was kind of urban legend, right? You can tell, right? Say something maybe. While some lizards, some are reptilians, some are insectilians, whatever. Some are Nordic, who look more normal, like humans, but very tall. And some are gray. Grayish are nice with those big
Yeah.
eyes. They're small. But now they say that that's actually those 4 types of aliens that you know they're they're real. Those motherfuckers are real. You know and
Okay.
so they really exist, and that's the type of feelings that actually been here on earth for quite a while, and they going to tell us about it. So in some urban legend are maybe fantasies of unstable mind. Some urban legend people saw something and they saw it thought it looked weird, and it turned into a story. at the end of the day. And some became a movement. For example, we have this urban legend. It's called the Blue Whale Challenge. And I think it was very popular in Russia at some point, right? Blue Whale,
Yeah.
a few years ago. Blue Whale Challenge, it's allegedly, we have to say, encourage teenagers to complete dangerous tasks. From what I heard, the dangerous task came to basically unaliven themselves, right? That was the task, the end of the more prominent and task. There was the last task. I don't know how many tasks they were supposed to do. Was it the only tasks, or it's something that would lead to that? But it was in media. It was in media, and some people said that it was basically media made it look big and more popular than it was, and that it reached the scale that it reached because of that, because of the coverage.
Mhm.
So, but again, I don't know who was the author, and I don't know. I don't think anyone knows who was the author of this challenge, of this movement, even because it was so many kids involved in that, and a few teenagers actually did lose their lives because of it. And at some point, it stopped. So, what was that? Was it urban legend or not?
I think that you can call it an urban legend also because it is now a legend that involves a lot of people, and it's not just a myth. It's not just a story, that it's not a fairy tale. So pretty much,
Yeah,
I would
definitely
call
not a fairy tale.
it
It would be pretty
definitely.
straight up fairy tale. Fairy tale.
But
Yeah.
we have some creepy fairy tales, so things like things the very bad things can happen in a fairy tale. So
That is true. That is absolutely true. All these Riding Hoods, Red Riding Hoods, and stuff like that. Who knows? It was fairy tale at all? Was there maybe real story? And wolf, well, maybe wasn't a wolf, and was well, maybe an alien, a reptilian. Who knows? Right?
apart from our topic right now, what I've heard recently about the little Red Riding Hood, that she can be actually a dead person because of the red hood that she's having, and that in the ages, like in all ages, red hood or red cat cape or red hat, it was the sign of a dead person or an evil person. So
Mm,
maybe the wolf was not the main antagonist of the story.
I'm trying to spin it and see how it would work if she was dead. But yeah,
Well,
we have to
she
work
was
on
dead,
that
and
one.
her grandmother was she was dead, and her grandmother was also dead, and the mother, she sent her off to the grandmother's house not to be among alive people.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Uh, there are some researchers of the fairy tales. They have very interesting theories of how some of the characters came to be, how some fairy
Yeah,
tales were invented. I don't know if that's any valid thoughts on this story, but alas, it's very popular right now, in the internet.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I think you'll like this one. You.
Okay.
It's called the Russian sleep experiment.
Okay. Yes.
The Russian sleep experiment claims Soviet scientists kept prisoners awake for weeks, leading to horrifying results.
Yeah, I
It's
heard that.
completely fictional. I don't know why, if it's completely fictional, why it came to life at all, but many people still think it happened. So,
Hmm.
no smoke without fire. Since you okay, it's word test for sleep deprivation, human limits, stuff like that. So, do you think it could be real?
I think it could be real. I've heard a lot of stories. I wouldn't call those stories an urban legend because they you
Yeah,
don't have you don't have an antagonist or something, someone who will capture you, or someone who you will meet during this particular like during the walk in the on the street.
maybe
But
it
this
was
story,
some communist. Петя,
I would
товарищ Петя, comrade Петя.
totally. But I do believe that those experiments could have been can be true, and not just only in Soviet Russia. I think it could be like in every part of a world where, some scientists, they wanted to study human nature and how to actually, involve themselves in the process of manipulating and control, because sleep
Yeah,
deprivation a very it is sometimes you don't feel like, okay, I won't sleep for a day or two, nothing's gonna happen to me. But in the reality, this actually makes you mad. It makes you like in maniac state, and nothing you can do because you want to sleep, all your organs shutting down, but you can't. And that what actually scares me pretty much, because have you
yeah.
ever encountered a young mothers, you've been one, when you don't have enough sleep and you don't even remember like what you did 5 seconds
Of
ago?
course, at those times they did a lot of psychological and secret experiments, and maybe some things probably stay closed, and some things became urban legend because people still don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, in the early 20th century, eugenica was not banned. So I think that a lot of countries, they made some experiments on this topic also. And the sleep deprivation experiment is not that of a big deal, I think. I think
Yeah,
they
that's
made
probably somebody probably did it. Yeah, somewhere
yeah, and I think
for
that
sure.
they made something even worse. But going back to urban legends,
Mm-hmm.
I will read you a little haunted restaurant ghost story. And this one is not creepy, it's not, really awful. No one actually was scared that much, but this kind of stories you can hear a lot of times. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a restaurant around here called the Country House. It dates back to the Revolutionary War and used to be a private residence. A small girl was hung by British soldiers, and she's believed to haunt the place. She's not an
Mm-hmm.
evil spirit, usually tries to call little kids upstairs to play. I was a kid, I had no idea what an urban legend ever was. My family had our company Christmas party there one year. I didn't see anything, but my sister got up several times because she wants to play. She wants to play. No
Mm-hmm.
one at the told either of us anything about the legend. Years later, I learned the history and legend, and my mind was blown. I'm very curious, but I'm never going back. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that this particular story can actually be true, because little kids, they're open-minded. They don't have, those regimes that you don't have to believe this, you can't believe this, anything that you
Yeah, they
can't.
don't know what to believe or not to believe yet.
Yeah, they just see something and they believe it, because
For them, it's
they're
real. Yeah,
because their mind is not that close to some supernatural. They don't have those particular like control things that we have. If you
yeah,
see something in the dark, there's must be some sane explanation. No ghosts, no aliens, no whatsoever. So what do you think
yeah.
about this particular story, and would you ever want to meet a ghost, and have you ever, you know maybe felt that you
Would I want to be a ghost or would I want to see a ghost?
no, would you want to see a ghost?
Or see a
And have you
ghost?
ever met a ghost or
No,
spirit,
I know.
something like this?
I never met a ghost. I heard strange noises a lot of times in my life that wasn't supposed to be there, and they were not like didn't know where they've come from. But I think it would always be an explanation, some physical explanation of the house or the place. But the ghost as itself, no, I never met one, and but I don't discount that. That is. Uh, Real, that was real. I believe in a lot of things, and why not believe in like
Well,
spirits
this.
and.
I remember my grandmother told me a story when I was a kid about her encountering a ghost of her mother.
Mhm.
Her mother died very suddenly. She had insult. What is this? Um,
Stroke,
Stroke. Yes,
stroke.
she
Mhm.
had a stroke, And you know that in, I don't know, like in America, what is it? But in Russia, we have 3 days, 9 days, and 40 days period of remembering person. And after only after 40 days, we believe that the soul is going to God, to heaven, whatsoever. So my grandmother told me that it was not 40 days still after she died, and
After person
she
die, you mean after person dies, we have
yeah,
to mourn the person for certain and like amount of time. Like 3 days, we have to remember person, sit and
nine
eat and
days.
talk about it. Then nine
Yeah,
and then 40. Yeah, but I don't think America has
days.
this tradition.
Yeah, and after 40 days, we believe that the soul goes to heaven. So,
Hmm.
and spirit, he leaves or she leaves their loved ones, and we I mean, we don't have, we can't see this person like in our real life anymore. So it was not 40 days still after she died, and my grandmother said that she went to her room, just to look around, just to remember her, and she was really tired, and she took a nap on her bed. And she had this cupboard in her room, and my grandmother swears that she woke up to a noise, and she saw the door of a cupboard opening, and my great grandmother picking up like this and looking at her. I don't know what was that. Maybe this was because she was, asleep, and this was figment of her imagination. Maybe she was remembering her when she was sleeping. Maybe that was because, the loss was too recent, and she
She
was in
was
her
too
room, and
grieving.
she
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just, yeah,
grieving
and she was
or
just
grieving.
remembering how she looked and how she behaved. But this was really, I would believe that this could actually be true, because my grandmother said that she was not scared like physically. She was not chilled down to the bone. She was not, she didn't feel that, there was any danger for her. Of course there was sudden, and she said that she, just like bolted out of the room because it was so unexpected. And then when she picked back, she didn't see anyone, of course. Maybe the door just opened on its own, because of the old house, because the floors are a little, um, a little like flunky, and something happened. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the story that the person I knew told me, and I actually do believe that it was something in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not an urban legend, but it's a story of that a lot of people believe or don't believe stories like that happens, and that could become a real urban legend if your grandma kept seeing her mom, or you saw it and it was like, okay, this lady lives in that house and this apartment and she comes every night and picking up on people.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So
rest in peace, Julia's grandma.
and
Um,
grandma also, unfortunately, yes. Rest in peace.
and grandma, yeah, rest in peace, grandma. Unfortunately, yes. Um, spirits, not spirits, but here is one legend that you told me about it as well, and that
Oh.
became so famous that people even made a movie out of it. Right? It's a story of a Slender Man.
Oh
And
yes.
yeah, you remember that? It was actually, I was surprised that Slenderman was invented online as a Photoshop contest entry. And then people started creating stories, videos, games, and fan fiction out of this character. And eventually, some children believed he was real enough that it contributed to a real life stabbing case, actually. So, and then it was a movie about it, and I think you saw the movie. I didn't watch it. I don't know the movie about. I
I've
saw the
seen because
trailer.
there's Slenderman 1 and Slenderman 2, yeah.
Yeah, but that's how that particular urban story became just out of the the character for the some contest, and it became something, an entity, or we're talking about. You guys told me about what you call it. These entities are not Angor, egregor. It became a egregor basically too, right?
Pretty
Sort
much
of.
yes, because yeah, pretty much yes, because there's a saying, there's a belief that if we believe in something, if a lot of people believe in something, it can become an entity, it can become a deity also. like not
You
just
know
an
how I
entity, but
understood in Gregor, because I didn't hear about this concept, and you
okay.
taught me that, and I started researching, and one of the explanation was, well, Santa Claus is in Gregor, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Now I understand. Thank you, because I'm trying to, like, understand what exactly this is, and I'm like, okay, so it's actually you create the entity out with beliefs, in believing
You
in
know
something.
what?
So Slenderman.
You know what? The story about Slender Man, and you remember this crime that happened. The two girls, they actually killed their friend because they said that Slender Man told them to.
Yeah,
This
that's
is a
probably
very,
what they were talking about here. That
yeah.
story.
This is a
Yeah.
very that's a creepy story, and I don't even know what to believe in this. Like this entity, this deity, this spirit that came to become true, decided to attack the very unfortunate people, the kids that don't have any protection around them, and
Or
manipulate
is
their
it just
minds.
in people's mind, right?
Or it's just
Became
in
real in
people's
people's mind.
mind, or it is in a grown up human's mind that actually decided to you know influence kids this way, and maybe
Pretended
that's,
to be Slenderman, right? Yeah, it
yeah,
could be too.
could be.
Yeah, sick people out there, very sick
Yeah,
people.
but you guys have a very particular place in America, and I've heard a lot of stories about this place. It's Appalachian Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to read one of them. I've heard tons of creepy stories about this place. I've watched a tons of videos that were telling the stories, and everything is really creepy. This one is called the Cursed Village.
Mm-hmm.
So another creepy story about the Appalachian Mountain Trail is about a town village known as Dudley Town. The Appalachian
Mm-hmm.
Mountain Train passes through several locations, with some of these places being inhabited while others are deserted. Dudley
Mm-hmm.
Town has a very weird nickname, the Village of the Damned, which is believed to have been cursed a long time ago. The village has a very horrifying history, which was capped off several hikers who passed through it. Dudley Town was founded by the descendants of Edmund Dudley, a man who was beheaded by Henry VIII for treason and was said to have cursed the land and had a cursed family. So everything is cursed in this story. This town, Dudley Town, was built in the 18th century and was abandoned by inhabitants in the 19th century, with visible ruins being left behind. Some people believe that the town was abandoned because the residents who stayed there soon went insane or committed suicide after claiming they were possessed by demons. In the present
Mm-hmm.
day, people have reported seeing strange lights and orbs surrounding this damned village. So we have a
Aliens
lot of explanations.
again.
First, aliens again, and second, do you remember the Roanoke that we all know, the village that disappeared
Yeah.
suddenly? No one know where everyone goes, and I think this one is very close in like in the story wise. The cursed village somewhere in a very odd region,
Yeah.
founded by a very odd person with a cursed family, and that what happened.
Yeah. That's crazy. Listen, I found something about Appalachian Mountains and what locals tell other people not to do there. If you hear something calling your name, don't answer. Okay, ignore it. It's not human. It's a spirit. Don't whistle at night after dark. It attracts spirits. Now there was a lot of missing people in the wilderness, but workplace with accents, so deal with that.
Okay.
The stairs in the woods. If you see stairs without a building, don't climb on them,
That, yeah,
because most
that.
people would climb. That's like they would run toward the killer in a movie, in horror movie. The not
Okay.
deer, the non deer Is it's Appalachian legend. And they describe seeing that appears to be a deer, but it's something wrong because its eyes face the wrong way, legs bend strangely, it stands unnaturally, it seems too intelligent. Too intelligent. So
Oh,
alien. That's what it's
perhaps.
all in Appalachia.
Maybe.
So it's a
Maybe this.
mountains, woods.
Yeah.
That could be like a very nice, exploring territory for outworthy people. Or maybe there's a portal. We know we hear about like now about the portals are everywhere, and it's not extraterrestrials, it's intraterrestrials, and there are people, beings are coming from other dimensions. So maybe it's there also, that forest. That's very good. It's good you brought it up because it's a lot going on there. I mean, I think it's time to go there. Yeah. And definitely, if somebody will call my name, Natasha,
You will
I will
answer,
go.
right? Of
Yes,
course.
and
Of
whistle.
course. And
I will answer with a whistle after dark.
after dark. But you know
I
what?
will do
This
everything.
you know what I've read about the Appalachian Mountains is just it feels like it is a place of power. Some lane lines
Mm-hmm.
maybe there, and there's a lot of very abnormal things that are happening there. Not just one or two legends. We have tons of stories with a very different things. You know, what I've read, like it's not even 10 or 20. It's a lot of different encounters, a lot of different deities, entities or spirits, or some myths that come alive in this area. So I think that some of the stories may actually be very trustworthy, and maybe you shouldn't answer when someone calls you deep down in the woods.
Listen, you can't stop an idiot, but
Yeah.
I've never said that I'm not. But listen, there's a lot of going on in those woods, and a lot of urban legends come from woods. For example, I don't know if it's urban legends or it's a true, but the Book of Mormons, right? I think the Book of Mormons was found in the woods and became a center of this really religious
Movement, I
movement.
would say. Yeah.
Yes. And also Leonardo da Vinci, let's go to our real scientist, because he was obviously a scientist of his time, right? This time he was first of a lot.
He's an
And
inventor,
he was,
inventor of a lot of things.
yes. And he went to the legend, again, the legend says that he went to the woods and he disappeared for 7 years in some cave. And when he came out of that cave, that's when he started doing all his discoveries and inventions and all of that. So is it, it could be an urban legend as well. Urban,
He got an
urban.
enlightenment. Urban, yeah.
Enlightenment for
Well,
7 years in a
we
cave. I don't
wouldn't call
know.
that urban legend, but because there was nothing urban in this, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
for
good
sure.
legend. Yeah.
But it's
But
like
you know
it's
what?
a village legend because they had
Village
villages in
legend.
the.
But you know what? I want to talk not just about Appalachian Mountain, though it is very
Why is it
interesting.
urban legend?
Not about Roanoke anymore, but about something that actually creeps me out even more. And I think that you've heard about them too. The black-eyed children.
Black-eyed children? No.
Yeah. So the black-eyed children. I will I will just read you facts about some 10 facts about black-eyed children. Black-eyed kids
Mhm.
will look like normal human children between the ages of 6 and 17 and 16, but with a very pale skin, sometimes very pale hair, and pitch black eyes, just like
Mhm.
demons. Additionally, people who have been in close proximity to black-eyed kids report a feeling of unease that washes over them. While nothing about the children appearance genuinely frightens people, they still reported feeling ranging from anxiety to terror at their presence. So it feels like those children, they don't do anything. They don't try to scare you that much, but it's an instant feel of something is off with them. Some
Mm-hmm.
people also reported seeing black-eyed kids that have talents for feet or other demonic attributes. But this particular fact, I've never actually read about this before. I think that maybe it was an
Yeah.
additional something. Black-eyed kids, also commonly described as wearing dates clothing or wearing dated clothing or dressing in a manner that is not typical of a normal child of their age. So it's pretty much like they are from the past, and they don't actually understand really what time is it. So some of the encounters that I've read about, they were not, like saying right words. Like they wanted to telephone, but they were saying telegraph because they don't know what time is it, like what that it is the 21st century and we don't have a telegraph anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Black-eyed children always ask for something. It always something that involves being in close quarters with you. They will ask for a ride in your vehicle to enter your home, or to use your phone or telegraph, as I just told you. There are no reported stories of what happens when you let black-eyed kid into your vehicle or home, because I think that those people don't exist anymore. All stories
Yeah.
come from people whose eerie feelings made them flee from the children. The earliest
I don't
sighting
want
of
to
a
see any
black-eyed
black-eyed children.
yeah,
Sounds
the
scary.
earliest sighting of a black-eyed kid was a journalist Brian Bethel in 1996. So it is a pretty recent story. And some
Mm-hmm.
people say that these particular kids may be not a demon or something, that maybe they're also who? Natasha, your favorite aliens.
Yeah.
The
Gray
story,
ones.
I don't know about
Those
gray
are
ones,
great.
but
Oh my god.
the story has been added to
So,
internet creepypasta lore, but to this day, Bethel insists the incident was real and happened the way he reported.
uh-huh.
So I will read you the one of the stories about black-eyed kids. Mostly, they're all very similar. They want something from you. You don't let them in. They try to pursue you to let them in, but you're not. You're a very strong-minded person, and then they just, they go off. I'd never heard of black-eyed kids before my incident. Also, I don't believe in the paranormal, ghosts, demons, aliens, whatever. However, I did have an event happen to me this Halloween, I have to admit, has me scratching my head. That night, I'd say we had no more than 8 to 10 groups of kids come by the entire night. It was about 9:30 p.m. My teenage son was out with his friends at a local haunted house and wasn't expected back for another hour or so that left me alone on the couch with Chloe. By the way, in all the stories about black-eyed kids, even though there might be several people in the house, only one is awake, only one is able to talk to them, to interact with them. This is interesting because sometimes I felt when I was reading those stories like those black-eyed kids, they made other people just go asleep just to interact with one person, because it was easier for this person to let them in. When there came a light knock, knock, knock at the front door. Our front door has a big beveled glass panel, and anybody right at the door, could see it enough to see someone was in the family room watching TV. Knock, knock, knock again at the door. A car drove down the street and cast just enough light on the door to where I could see the silhouettes of two small children through the glass. I instantly felt relief. It was just some kids, probably a couple of my neighbors on their way back home, and that wanted to stop by and show me their costume or something. I turned on the porch light when I got to the door, and sure enough, I could see through the glass that it was a couple of pretty small kids. What struck me immediately was odd that the kids weren't wearing any costumes. They were in a normal street clothes and no customary trick or treat either. I began to feel very uneasy again. It was girl and a boy. The girl to my left was older, I'd say about 11 or 12. I could tell she was blonde, but I couldn't make any of the distinct features as our lights are from high above and on the columns on the front of the porch, so most of the light was coming from behind them. I had not opened the door wide enough for any light come from inside to hit them directly. The boy was younger and about a foot shorter, I would say 8 or 10, and looked to have light brown hair. The girl politely spoke up. Ma'am, can we please come inside and use your phone to call our mom? As she spoke, something in the pit of my stomach was telling me something was wrong. What kid, even at that age, doesn't have a cell phone of their own these days? Hun, don't you have a phone on your own you can call your mom on? I asked. She was. This was things really got weird. Both kids turned to look at each other like they were going to say something to one another, but neither spoke. They both turned back to me, and the girl said, "Ma'am, my cell phone battery doesn't have any charge left in it. Can we please come inside and call our mom? We're alone out there, and my brother is scared." It was then I noticed that during the short conversation, I'd already opened the door a few extra inches, which I was completely unaware of doing. Like someone was, actually doing something to her brain, I think. I stopped. "Honey, why don't you give me your mother's number and I can call myself?" Another pause, and they again looked at one another. Another short moment, and they turned back to me, and girl said, Ma'am, my little brother has to use your bathroom. Can we please come inside while you call our mother?" And with that last statement, the little girl moved towards the door, like she was going just walk in by herself. As she did, she stepped into the light coming from inside of the house, and I got my first real look at her. Solid, jet black eyes. That's all I could see. I could feel every hair on my arm and back on my and the back of my neck standing at attention. I closed the door to where just my face was able to stick out. The little girl stopped and again pleaded, "Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out there. We have to come inside. Please help us." Then, like on cue, both kids began to whimper and cry. So I'm not going to read the whole story because it's a pretty long one, but
Mhm.
the point here is that they tried to plead, then they demanded, and when the woman just shut the door closed her ears, grabbed the dog, and went upstairs, they were kind of like pulling the door. So
Mhm.
it feels like they cannot enter by force. You have to actually welcome them. You have to open the door freely, and then they will do something to you. And this particular story reminds me of the movie. You remember this movie? I think it was like in the 90s. Деревня
Let
проклятых.
me
It was based.
let me in about the vampires.
No,
Oh, because that's what for me, to me it was like that story about vampires. You have to let vampire in, otherwise they cannot enter the house without a formal invitation.
but for me, it is more like an alien type of story. Village of the
Or them.
Damned, but this was based on the John Wyndham book, and I think that the Midwich Cuckoos, where
Mm.
the whole town one day just went under the dome, and all women in this particular town woke up pregnant, and they
Mm.
couldn't get rid of the kids because the motherly instinct told them to keep those kids. And
Mhm.
the Midwich Cuckoos, this was the book, and I think it has like maybe three or like two, three movies and one TV series.
Mm. Very interesting. Who
Yeah,
knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true story.
maybe it's the
I would.
story, but this particular story, it reminds me of this because it feels like they don't do anything harmful. It feels like they cannot just grab you by the wrist and eat you up alive, but it feels like they actually need to get in the vehicle or to get in the house so desperately, but you have to just actually let them in because it feels like they don't have power enough to go in by force. Well, what is it? Do you believe in this black-eyed kid? Because I've seen a lot of stories about this. And if you believe, what do you think more? What do you think is like? Are they demons or aliens?
I don't know. I never heard of those stories. And as I said, the only similar one that I can remember is about that vampire book. Let me in, or let the right one in. It was that movie um, was made based on it. A very good movie and very good book, and I still have it. Very disturbing. Um, but you had to let that creature verbally allow it to enter the house. Otherwise, they just cannot cross that threshold. So I don't know. Maybe there's something in a crossing the threshold power, or just kind of it's if it's like evil. So the person, evil spirit, the person has else like by allowing entering the house, it's kind of allowing it to enter his, I don't know, soul, whatever. I don't know, something like that.
Every person who wrote the story about Black Eyed Kids, they told that they had two feelings that fighting in them. Like let those kids in because they were pretty small and very vulnerable and they wanted to help them, and this really eerie feeling that they're not going to make it after this,
Hmm.
and of
They're
course
gonna
no anything
suck their
to do,
spirit out.
suck their spirit, or maybe they will replace them because who knows what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, that was a movie like that also. Somebody, yes. Yeah. I remember. I watched like about a year ago a very strange movie on the internet about people entering, kids entering the house like this, and then taking the shape of murder those family members and become them, and then they murder neighbors and something like that. I don't remember if they had black eyes or something, but I remember they stood somewhere and like on the road, and the family entered the door, and then they somehow appeared in the house even they didn't really let them in. I think it's pretty similar. Maybe it came from that story.
Maybe.
Maybe it was like an inspiration. But we are basically in the end of our on our podcast, and we talked about a few interesting urban legends. Maybe you guys remember more, and I'm sure you remember more, but we didn't even say what urban legend means, the terms. It doesn't actually, it has nothing to do with the city. It just means that the story happened. It just means that legend spread among ordinary people in modern society rather than being ancient mythology.
Yeah.
So it's just modern society. It's not even, yeah, I attached it to like more like to a city before that. It's, but it's not really, it's not really that. It's just modern.
Yeah, there's a tons of urban stories that you can read yourself. It's about the, like the white ghost of a woman on the road, or Lorena that actually murdered her children and now she wants to kidnap yours. There's tons of
Yeah,
story like that. Ghosts, mythical creatures, Vendigos, uh, maniacs. Also, they have their place in urban legends.
of course, I'm sure.
Aliens, yeah, aliens and whatever you think. I think there are some legends about them. So, would you want to actually have a legend of your own, a story of your own, or you would, be fine just reading them?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I created a few stories on my own. I don't think they became urban legends, but yeah, that's where I want to stop it. I don't really want it to become something that cannot be controllable, and people will create an entity out of it. No, I'm good because I created a few very ugly characters. They do not have place in our world. They shouldn't.
The story didn't end well. So I don't know because sometimes when I hear, not that creepy stories, not that horror stories that, had people scared to the bone and grow gray hair after this, I think it's pretty interesting to go someplace, some haunted mansion or some lost village and find out what's going on there, maybe encounter someone. But then, like the story about the girl in the restaurant, it was a pretty ghost of a of a little girl that just wanted to play, right? But if we're talking about Black Eyed Kids or something like this, or like stories from the Appalachian Mountains, I wouldn't want any of those.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good. And maybe I'll go to Appalachian Mountains, but as I said, but
Yeah.
Black Eyed Kids, no. No, I'm good.
It's
All
weird.
right.
Someone knocks at your door in the middle of the night and,
Yeah.
ask you to come in, pretty please. Just don't answer.
I'll try my best to resist. Okay. Oh, by the way, I had one at one time. It's not an urban legend, but we lived in a place, a gated community, and I probably even told you about it. And somebody knocked at my door, and it was those Ego, Sweden is the witness, ego witnesses, whatever, right? And they spoke to me in Russian, and I was in America. And like, I still to this day think, how did they found me? Because I never participated in any kind of that, organizations, never wrote to them. So somehow
Made
somebody,
their research.
yeah. So, but it was weird because I opened the door and they started Russian to me, speaking Russian to me and holding me there's this brochures. And I'm like, closing the door. I'm not letting them in.
That's not an
Anyway,
urban legend, but my mom
yeah,
was
no,
very
it's not.
suspicious about
Well,
it
no, but it's
because
about the door. Yeah.
they were very
Okay.
famous here in the 90s, and I remember my mom opening the door and she was talking to them like it was nothing. She was they were handling the books, the booklets to her, and she never opened them, of course. But when I grew up, I asked my mom, like, why in all hell, like, why did you talk to them? Just why? What made you open the door and just talk to those people? And she was just, well, why not? Like, they weren't doing anything bad to me. Agree? Yes, yes, because you're a mule of a person and no one can convince you of anything. But if you were not that kind of a person, maybe they could have done something to you.
Yeah. And that's how our show could slowly turn from urban legends to sects and cults. And we're not going to do that.
We're not gonna do that. We already. But you know what? I'm
Yeah.
pretty interested in Roanoke Colony, so maybe, just
Uh,
maybe, we will have our research on this topic because I think it's pretty interesting to go deep down and to
yeah, maybe.
try to find out
Yeah.
what actually happened there, right?
Yeah. But right now, share with us your whatever you heard, and we guys we're going to see you next time.
Yes. Um, like, hit the bell, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone.